Hey folks, greetings. I feel like I have to, I don't normally contribute to a lot of conversation publicly because one, I think that there are people who articulate way better on a subject matter than I do, and they're often saying, what I feel. And so I don't necessarily always feel the need to come up here and wax philosophical. But this situation I feel compelled and pulled to say something. I was with my dad. We had just finished watching the Morocco France game, and the news comes on, and they announce that Brother tWitch has transitioned, and they tell us very boldly, clearly, and honestly, surprisingly, what happened. And I actually audibly gasped, and my dad was like, "Oh, you know who?" I was like, "Yeah, this is our brother is a dancer, and he's got a wife, and he's got 3 babies, I think, and he used to, DJ and executive produce for Ella. I've seen him do his thing." I'm just, I'm shocked like everybody else is. And of course, whenever someone of that age at 40, dies, it feels, when somebody's young and they pass, it feels, there's something that does it to you where you're like, oh, such a young age. And then when it's because they completed suicide, there's a whole nother underlying thing that comes along with it. And then you start to see the check on your strong friends. You never know what anybody's going through. There's a lot of we wear the mask language that starts floating around. I've seen videos where the video is just, different clips of this brother and doing his thing. And then the caption is a lot of, you don't know what people are going through. And I think, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist. Yes, it's true. You don't know what people are going through. And so with that in mind, it's always, I think, disappointing that we take moments like this to say these things, but then we don't really treat each other in ways that actually reflect that whole idea of you don't know what somebody's going through. It's hard. It's hard being in the world right now. It's been hard being a world, period. But it's really hard after everything we've been through collectively, after the individual stuff that may have happened or not have happened, depending on where you line up in the space of the pandemic, the lockdown. Everybody's stressed out. You can tell by the way people are driving. I just got into my second accident in less than 4 months. The second time now, where I was rear-ended, and I still don't understand how I'm getting rear-ended while I'm sitting in traffic. But I see how people are driving. I see the lack of patience people have. There's a way that people are just not. No, I think a lot of us are really struggling. And so when I saw the message about the brother passing, I felt and still feel very just something in me that just doesn't feel right. It feels unsettled. And part of it is that we need to do better with how we treat each other. This time in our lives as humanity, we have more access to language, we have more access to history, we have more access to information than I think we've ever had at any given point in human civilization. And the amount of ignorance that floats around, that gets away with being called fact, that gets away with, making it to major news outlets is stunning. And so when I think about the way the world is set up, when I think about how often, as a Black woman living in this time, I'm still having to fight for my right to be human. Yeah, this shit's hard. It's hard. And so what I would offer up, just as a contribution to the larger conversation, is instead of these moments of let's post about this and then let's think about, you know, these sort of catch-alls, let's really look at the life this brother had. 40 years is not a long time, and at the same time it's kind of long. And when you think about, you know, how we are moving in this world and how much time we spend hustling and moving and grinding, and how, you know, our physicality is constantly being questioned and under fire. There's so many ways that operating in this very weird world is taxing to the system, and nothing is promised. Whether you exit on your own terms or not, like, nothing is promised. And so I hope that we can hold space for this brother and his family and his friends, the people that were affected by him, who loved him, who, you know, maybe he never met and he somehow touched them. I hope we can hold space for them. And in honoring the memory of anyone who's transitioned, that we can take the fact of the brevity, the fact that there's a finite amount of time that you have in this vessel on this plane, and just use it to be better and more compassionate with one another. Like, to spend all of this time posting and sharing and doing all these things, and then still be using the language of the strong friend, and still deciding which of your friend groups are strong or weak, and somehow suggesting the strong ones need, you know, like all of that parsing out, and not really just thinking about your community as human. Let's maybe try to focus on that, because whatever his reasons are, we're never going to. It's between him and his people. It's between him and his, you know, and his people. I don't, for me, it doesn't matter why he transitioned that way. All I'm thinking about is he's gone, and there's a whole life that, you know, is finished now, in a way, and his children and his wife and his, I think I saw a picture of him and his father or his grandfather. And so I see someone who, yes, for all intents and purposes was very successful, who's no longer here. And so for me, the takeaway is nothing is promised. So whether you check on that strong friend or not, nothing is promised. So let the fact of the brevity of life be the thing that gets you to go check on your people, regardless of whether you see them as strong or weak. To see them as human. We're not always good about asking for help. We're not always good about receiving help. And I think about how I show up. And I just had a conversation with one of my little cousins, where I had to tell her that in a lot of ways, because of how I have grown up as an eldest, I don't do a good job of processing the present. I'm often coming from a place of worst case scenario. What do I got to do? How do I solve the problem? Boom, boom, boom. And that's not always what people need. Sometimes people just need to hear, just need to be listened to. Sometimes people just need a quick hello. And for me, it's hard. And so even if you categorize me as the strong friend, there's a good chance that even if you checked on me, that you still wouldn't know what was going on. So acknowledging my humanity, as opposed to just checking on me or just checking on someone, Um, I think that's where we need to be right now. So yeah, I just wanted to offer that up. I don't know if it made sense, but it was pulling on me, and now that I've sort of gotten it out, I definitely feel better. So maybe this will make the light of day, maybe it won't, but yeah, let's be better, because we're not, as a whole, when I think about the world that we are actually creating, it's a shit show. And no disrespect, but I could see how someone could look at the way that we live and be like, why would I want to be part of this? And whether that's they go off the grid and go live in the woods somewhere, or they move to a different country, like, there's a lot of ways where people just check out, even if they don't leave this plane. And so I think we need to be thinking about, what have we created as a society, and whether or not we are creating a space, societally speaking, not familial speaking, not like community speaking, but like societal speaking, where people can, be in the world and feel safe. So yeah.